The Second Crusade, which took place from 1147 to 1149, was one of a series of military campaigns initiated by European nations to reclaim the Holy Lands from Muslim control. Here are some significant details regarding this expedition. The Crusade was a response to the abrupt fall of the fortress of Edessa in 1144, one of the first cities established by the Crusaders following the First Crusade. This defeat engendered considerable concern in Western Europe regarding the fate of the Crusader states in the East. Pope Eugene III issued a proclamation for the Crusade, urging knights and the general populace to join the campaign aimed at recovering Edessa and the sacred territories. Several prominent figures led the crusade, including Louis VII, the King of France, who commanded the French contingent of the expedition, and Conrad III, the Emperor of Germany, who oversaw the German forces. The military forces embarked from Europe in 1147, with the campaign divided into two principal factions, the French troops and the German forces. Following their failure to recapture Edessa, their attention shifted towards Damascus, which they believed would serve as a strategic launching point for reclaiming the Holy Lands. The campaign suffered several defeats and did not succeed in achieving its objectives of retaking the city. The relationships among the leaders deteriorated, exacerbating disorder and lack of coordination. The Second Crusade, from 1147 to 1149, was a period marked by tension and complexity characterized by a myriad of events and preparations from both sides. Here are more comprehensive details regarding this campaign. Preparations for the campaign commenced following Pope Eugene III's call, which inspired a volunteer movement encouraging nobles and knights to join the expedition. Christian nations, particularly France and Germany, mobilized their armies. A significant number of knights and soldiers participated, coupled with an enhancement of naval fleets to transport the troops. The Crusaders employed traditional weapons of the time, such as lances, swords, and shields. They equipped war chariots and necessary supplies for traversing rugged terrains. The financing of the campaign stemmed from the contributions of kings and nobles, alongside donations from the church and the people, as well as the knights' commitment to pay what is known as the Crusaders' tax. In the wake of Edessa's fall, Muslims responded to this peril by uniting under the leadership of prominent figures such as Nur ad-Din Zangi, a vital ruler in the region. Muslims fortified their defenses in major cities such as Damascus. Military forces were bolstered and logistical support was organized. A diverse array of fighters from various regions, including Syria and the Levant, was mobilized, facilitating a more organized opposition to the Crusaders. The campaign commenced in the summer of 1147, with Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany leading their armies across the Balkans towards the east. The Battle of Laodicea, or Laodicea on the Lycus, is one of the significant confrontations that took place during the Second Crusade from 1147 to 1149. This engagement occurred in 1148 while the Crusader forces were en route to the city of Damascus. The campaign was initiated with the aim of reclaiming Edessa. However, following the failure of the Crusader army in that endeavor, the leaders resolved to advance towards Damascus. Laodicea is situated in a resource-rich region, yet it was also perilous due to the presence of Seljuk Turkish forces that held sway over parts of it. The primary command of the campaign was held by Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany, who were accompanied by a substantial number of knights and soldiers. The Seljuk Turkish forces gathered to defend the city against the invading Crusaders. After traversing the arduous terrains of Anatolia, the Crusader armies reached Laodicea, navigating challenging paths that led to considerable fatigue among the soldiers. The Crusaders laid siege to the city, contemplating a breach, yet they encountered staunch resistance from the Muslim forces. The Crusaders faced issues related to food scarcity and health, as there was a deficit in supplies attributable to the harsh nature of the region and ongoing assaults from Seljuk forces. The outcome of the battle was grim. During the course of the siege, the Seljuk troops launched counterattacks, further intensifying the pressure on the Crusaders. The battle assumed an increasingly unfavorable nature for them. Following an extended period of siege and the failure to achieve their objectives, the campaign decided to retreat from Laodicea, representing a significant blow to Crusader morale. The impacts were profound. The failure encountered in this battle resulted in a greater disarray in coordinating efforts among the Crusader factions, thereby weakening the campaign overall. The retreat from Laodicea and the outcomes of the battle bolstered the Muslims' confidence in their ability to withstand Crusader assaults, preparing them for future confrontations. The Battle of Laodicea was one of the unsuccessful encounters that contributed to the broader failures of the Second Crusade. It epitomized the challenges faced by the Crusaders in fulfilling their ambitions in the East, significantly impacting the Christian fervor for subsequent campaigns. Ultimately, the Crusader armies resolved to march towards Damascus, firmly determined to seize the city. The siege of Damascus in the summer of 1148 was a significant event. A siege was laid upon Damascus, but it ultimately failed. This failure was due to a lack of coordination among the Crusader factions, nutritional deficiencies, and fierce resistance from the Muslims. The Crusaders faced numerous mistakes and challenges during their campaign. One major issue was the lack of coordination. The campaign suffered from severe disunity between the French and German armies, resulting in a marked ineffectiveness in their assaults. Poor planning was another critical problem. The siege of Damascus was executed hastily and recklessly, as the strength of the military defenses was not accurately assessed. Additionally, the Crusader forces faced substantial health issues. Illness and nutritional deficiencies plagued the troops, which further exacerbated their vulnerabilities. The conclusion of the Second Crusade, spanning from 1147 to 1149, was marked by a series of military failures. These failures were compounded by organizational weaknesses and a lack of coordination among the Crusader forces. Here are the details surrounding the events that led to its demise. Events leading to the conclusion, the Siege of Damascus. Following the Battle of Laodicea and the failure to seize it, the Crusader leaders decided to advance on Damascus, one of the most significant Islamic cities in the region, initiating a siege in the summer of 1148. This move aimed to regain control of the territories they had lost. Organizational problems. The campaign suffered from internal divisions and a deficit in coordination between the French and German armies, with no definitive agreement on the assault plan. This lack of unity resulted in conflicting strategies among the leaders, complicating the siege efforts. Islamic resistance. The fervent advocate and commander of Muslim forces, Nur al-Din Zengi, orchestrated a formidable opposition to the siege. He capitalized on the surrounding terrain and effectively organized his troops, making it increasingly difficult for the Crusaders to succeed. Environmental conditions. The Crusader forces faced significant hardships due to extreme heat and shortages in food and water supplies. Additionally, health issues arose from unsanitary conditions. Failure of the siege, inability to achieve goals. Despite their endeavors, the Crusader campaign was unable to breach Damascus. The persistent and robust resistance from the Muslims began to take a toll on the Crusaders due to dwindling supplies. Withdrawal of the Crusaders. By the end of July 1148, the Crusader leaders resolved to withdraw from the siege of Damascus after several weeks of unsuccessful attempts. This decision was disheartening and led to a marked decline in morale. Outcomes of the campaign: return of the armies home. Following the failure at Damascus, the Crusader forces opted to return to Europe in the autumn of 1148. They regrouped in the regions where they had previously been stationed and took familiar routes back. Loss of confidence in the campaigns. The failure of this endeavor constituted a significant blow to Christian zeal regarding the Crusades, prompting analyses and discussions about the reasons behind the failure, which resulted in critiques directed at the leaders, strengthening the Muslim position. Conversely, the failure of the campaign bolstered the Muslim standing in the region. Nur al-Din Zengi emerged as a prominent figure, demonstrating that he and many other Muslim leaders could effectively withstand Crusader invasions. Conclusion: the Second Crusade ended in resounding failure, adversely impacting the Christian aspirations in the East and reinforcing Islamic resolve to counter the Crusader incursions. This campaign served as a lesson regarding the importance of coordination and military organization, as well as an understanding of the environmental challenges faced by soldiers in distant lands.